Okay, so the idea is that we're trying to graph all these different types of functions, but we only want to see a piece of each. Okay. So I can kind of help you through one and see. Okay, so we have to do 5 or I think I only have to do 4 functions, but we have to do a linear, a quadratic, a radical, and an absolute value. So I'm going to have you pick. Which one do you want to do first?
I'll do the absolute value.
Okay, absolute value. So absolute value looks like this. It's basically absolute value of x minus h plus k. And all that means is you're going to insert a specific value for a specific function, because the absolute value is there, but then the h and k is going to take that absolute value, is going to shift it all over the place. And usually we want to just pick values that are relatively small so that it ends up in the graph kind of near the center. So what value do you want to choose to enter in for h and k?
Am I able to do 1?
Yeah, you want to do +1 or -1?
+1.
Okay. And then what do you want for k?
6.
+6. Okay. We can do that. Okay. Now the first function is going to live in this interval from -infinity to -5. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our. So let me just show you what we're going to try to achieve. Now that we have our function, we're going to make Desmos do the work for us. So for the first function, we're going to create a table of values. And all this is saying is we're just going to pick numbers from -5 down. Okay. And the negative infinity just means that once you know what the pattern is, you're going to just put an arrow as it exits the graph.
Okay.
So we'll start at -5. We'll do -6. We'll do -7. I think after you do a couple of numbers, that should be enough for you to see what to plot. Okay, so now we're going to go to Desmos. Okay, have you used Desmos before?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to Desmos. I'll share that screen. Okay, so I go to desmos.com. I hit graphic calculator. So now I'm just going to type in that function that you identified in here. So there's the absolute value bar right above the enter button. And then I'll do x plus 1, close the absolute value, and then you said +6. All right. Ooh, you know what? This may be a little large. You want to choose a smaller number here?
4.
4. Okay. Okay, that works. So we want to choose values less than -5. So you're going to go to, do you see this, that little gear circle there? Hit enter on that. And do you see that little table? Okay, hit enter on that. So these are not the order pairs that we care about. So we just want to use the ones that we care about. So we'll do -5, -6, -7. You can do more if you want. But there is our order pair. So I'm going to copy those down. And if you look at the graph, it's going to be this portion right here. So you're going to plot these points, and then at the end, you'll just put an arrow just to indicate that graph keeps going up in that direction.
Okay.
Okay. Back to my paper. Okay, so here's my graph. So I'm going to start at -5, 8. It's a closed circle, open circle because there's a parentheses here. Okay, -6, 9. -7, 10. Okay, so it's just going to be a diagonal line. I think I have an idea where this is going, so I'm just going to. So this is only showing, because normally it looks like a V, right? But here the domain is saying, I just want to see this portion right here. Okay. So that's the first graph. And then you have a couple more to choose from. There's a radical. There's a linear. There is a quadratic. Which one do you want to do next?
What about the square root one? Because it says.
Yeah, that's right. Square root, right? Too. So square root, all you need to do is do the same thing, but instead of absolute value, you put a square root. So what number do you want to choose here?
It has to be less than 5.
No, for the second one, we're going to be going from -5 to 0. And the third one, you're going to go from 0 to 5. And the fourth one, you'll go from 5 to infinity.
I'll do. Can I do 6 on this one?
Okay. Want to do +6?
Yeah.
How about out here?
I'll do -1.
Okay. Got your y equals square root of x plus 6. Okay, so y equals okay, so this time I have a different set of numbers I need to choose. So I'm going to go from -5 to 0. And same thing, go to Desmos, enter it in, and plot it. Okay. This time I'm going to go to, you see that little arrow here, undo. Oh, wait, maybe I'll go to, okay, so I hit that gear circle again, and I hit delete all just so I can start from scratch. So now square root, you can just type in SQRT, and that'll just turn into a square root sign, x plus 6 minus 1. Oops, I need that -1 outside, so outside the outside the square root and then -1. Edit list, table. Okay, so now I'm going to choose values that I care about. Okay, so these aren't pretty numbers, but we can just graph to the best of our ability here. So you go with this. Okay, so I'm back to my screen. I'm sorry, back to my paper. So my second function is going to live in this region. So I'm just going to plot these points, and it should be in a separate region here. So we have one region that's going to take up this space. The second graph will take up this space. Third graph will take up this space, and fourth graph. So they're all going to be kind of next to each other, but they're not going to overlap or interfere with each other because we're purposely picking values that are not going to overlap.
What if the value do overlap? Do I start it over?
Well, we're not going to overlap because we know.
Oh, okay.
Right. We already predetermined which x values to choose, so there's no chance of overlapping. I mean, the only overlap is going to be at the ends. So you're going to have to put an open circle and a closed circle so that it can remain a function. But it really depends on what you got to look at the directions again. If there's a bracket, that means you're going to put a closed circle. If it's a parentheses, then you're just going to put an open circle. So let's say there was a bracket there. There was a bracket, then I'll just put a closed circle there. -4, 0.4, 0.7. Okay, so not very accurate here, but it's just going to kind of go to here. And then I repeat that process for a linear and a quadratic. So linear is going to take on the form of y equals mx plus b. And then the quadratic is going to take on the form of x minus h squared plus k. Okay, I suggest that you choose small numbers, but you repeat that process and you should be able to sketch your graph out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I think you can finish this on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to reset your, hold on a second.